Well, we're officially off on our way to Seymore Narrows. We're leaving with 2 knots of current against us, hoping that we can make it to the Narrows for slack tide, or slack current, sorry, and then make it through, and we're trying to get to, what's that island called?
Turn Island.
Turn Island, which is on like just off of East Thurlow Island. There's
Right,
kind of like a little bay there. Right where Discovery Passage and Johnstone Strait meet. That's where we're trying to get to. And I think we'll stay there for at least a night. There is a wind warning for the entire strait, the Johnstone Strait, but we're right at the beginning of it, so we're hoping we're gonna be fine. It's looking absolutely gorgeous out here. There's a tiny bit of wind starting to pick up, but otherwise it is dead calm. We're feeling nervous, but very hopeful that we can make it there on time. What are we doing for speed right now?
4.5.
Okay, so that's not bad.
No.
If we can hold that, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we should be able to make it. And I'm cutting corners, so.
Yeah.
He's actually going in the right shipping lane and I'm not.
We've got an hour and a half to get there at 5 knots. But we can cruise without current against us at like 7 knots, but we've got 2 knots of current against us, so we're doing 4.5. But the current obviously is supposed to dwindle as we get closer, so we should be able to gain speed as we get closer, theoretically. I'm Taryn, this is Logan, and this is Max. Join us as we live and sail in the Pacific Northwest on our 40-foot steel sailboat. Getting to Seymore Narrows on time was imperative. If we missed it by any margin of time, we were risking losing control of the boat or having to turn back and wait another day to get through the Narrows.
Let's dive.
On the east side of Vancouver Island, there are essentially 3 large waterways that we have to plan around. At the south, there is the Juan de Fuca Strait, which leads out into the Pacific. In the middle, there is the Salish Sea, and then in the north we have the Johnstone Strait, which leads to the Queen Charlotte Strait and then out into the Pacific. At the north end of the Salish Sea, there are 2 very narrow points where all of the water coming down the Johnstone Strait from the Pacific enters the Salish Sea. This is where we are trying to go through today. Getting through one of these tiny channels that a massive amount of water runs through. The water running through Seymore Narrows can run up to 15 knots. Our boat can only do 7 in good conditions. I think that pretty well explains why timing this passage had us stressed out a little bit. Although beautiful beyond words, this area of the world is not something to be taken lightly, and travel needs to be properly timed with weather and currents, as there is often no turning around if you get things wrong, especially on a slow-moving sailboat. Well, Logan, we made it through.
We did. And it's gorgeous. We couldn't have picked a better day.
Nope. Timed it right and we made it through actually 15 minutes before slack. We started heading through, but we only had 0.6 of a knot against us. And it's feeling good. It's so gorgeous out here. Yeah, we saw a humpback, we saw a few baby sea lions, of all things. It's an absolutely perfect day out. We're still doing 6.6 knots. We're heading to Turn Island. We're only about an hour and a half from the island that we're going to, so that's exciting. We can get anchored and just enjoy our surroundings for the day, I guess. Get stoked about the fact that we're out where we want it to be. It's awesome. And there is still a heavy weather warning, or heavy wind warning, I guess, for this afternoon, so it'd be nice to like get in somewhere where we're protected and hopefully don't have to worry about that so much. Feels like we accomplished something today. And we're officially quite a bit farther north than we've ever been on a sailboat, so that's also really exciting. So we're just talking about how as soon as we turned into the Narrows, the smell changed. I don't even know how to describe it, but there's just like a smell that forests and nature have. And because the island is being so developed, you don't smell that like in the more developed areas, like pretty well anywhere south of Campbell River, you don't smell that anymore. And when we were growing up here, everything in the summertime and the springtime, it was like just you could smell nature everywhere. It's really calming and soothing to smell that. Like, it's like as soon as you smell that, your heart rate decreases and you can breathe better.
Yeah, it is hard to explain, but everything smells like a little bit sweeter and fresh and just like green.
Yeah.
Right now we're getting a northerly wind, and in front of us there's just huge mountains with glaciers on them and very little habitation north of where we are, so it's much a feeling as it is a smell, I guess.
It's true, yeah.
It's hard to explain. Like, the air feels different. It's like you can see further. It's just clear. Everything is much nicer. And man, is it good to get out of the city.
Not too long into our travels up Discovery Passage, we changed our mind about where we would anchor for the night, because the forecasts for the rest of the week were looking even worse than they were the day before, with gale warnings for a couple of upcoming days. Instead, we decided to head east into Thurston Bay Marine Park on Seymore Island, which looked like it was going to offer a better protection and quite a few places to explore. We headed into the bay to anchor, but found out that there was quite a few boats already in there, and when we tried to anchor, we couldn't hook up in the weedy bottom in the limited space that was still available. So instead we headed around the corner to Handfield Bay, which was luckily a lot less full and had a great bottom for anchoring. Alright, so in our normal fashion we ended up in a completely different bay than we originally wanted to be in.
So we waited for that other boat to leave and then we stole their spot. No, it's pretty much the best place. It's the only place in this bay where we can not be on a lee shore.
With the northwest wind.
Yeah, and the wind is blowing northwest, which means it comes from that direction. But it's getting deflected off of these mountains over here and then like behind, and then coming in through this little dip in the hills and hitting us in a different direction, and the current is always seems to be doing a counterclockwise motion through this bay. Just really weird. So we're gonna stern tie over there, and we thought better of it. This is a better place for sure. Plus we have our own private island now.
Sure do. For all you guys who are wondering what those like red spools were for at the front, this is it. So one of those red spools has been unwound and is now our stern tie line. Our estimated couple of days turned into almost a week as we tried to avoid traveling in gale force winds on our nose. it was pretty clear that this area once had human habitation with all of the fruit trees that were growing here.
Find a baby strawberry?
I did.
You gonna eat it?
Here, you try it. There's more.
Better ones?
And they're just perfectly ripe now. Little baby strawberry.
Okay. How is it?
Those are the best strawberries I think I've ever had.
They're so small but so tasty.
They have so much flavor. Yeah.
It's pretty rare that you find wild strawberries on these plants because we are definitely not the only creatures that enjoy eating them. We took a ride down to the end of the bay known as Chameleon Bay, just outside of our bay, to explore a little bit. Logan also managed to find a couple of intact commercial bait bags washed up on shore, which we took home with us.
Well, we made it back safe and sound from our little adventure down into Chameleon Bay. So tonight though, I'm going to make a pasta sauce with a bunch of stuff that we've actually grown on the boat. So I've been growing rosemary, onions, chives, and then I've got two different kinds of mint. I've got like a mojito mint, and then I've got lemon balm. So I'm gonna use the rosemary that I've been growing, some of the chives, maybe some of the onions. I bought basil from the farmer's market and thyme from the farmer's market. Gonna use them. And yeah, I'm very excited. It's cool to like make fresh food from stuff that you've actually grown or you know the people have grown it. It just tastes so much better. So this is my boat garden. So when we're underway and stuff, all of those are inside. But when we're out in Anchorage, I bring them outside and let them get extra sun because all those plants need a lot of sun. And even though we've got like these big windows, they, for whatever reason, I guess because they're tinted, they don't let in a lot of sunlight. Or they do let in a lot of sunlight, but not enough for like the sun-loving plants. So I bring them outside, let them get some fresh air, let them get some more direct sunlight, and they seem to grow better. So yeah, gonna pick some of those, put them in a pasta sauce tonight with some beef that is definitely not local, but I tried. We didn't get the freezer set up in time to get local beef, so we ended up buying it from Save-On, but everything else, and the tomatoes are also not local. But yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna get to that.
Next week, we take you with us as we look for edible plants and try to catch some crab for dinner. Thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. We appreciate every one of you.